you, Dirty Potters. How are you today?
You see it? Yeah, I'm growing it out.
Nice.
I'm growing it out.
Today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I've been doing a lot of experimentation recently. A large reason why I do a lot of these experiments, like I've been doing with mica powder and red iron oxide, and some of my own glazes that I put on Glazy. Check out my profile if you want some of my recipes, by the way. I give them out for free $99 because I'm all about community. Is because generally speaking, in a stereotypical artist way, is I make these large pieces or I make these large art projects that I don't finish because I always feel like I can do better on the art projects if I have a bit more knowledge about what I'm gonna do with that project. So for example, it's a very stereotypical thing for a potter such as myself to have like a shelf or their own little room full of all these bigger pots about this big or so, just nice decorative things that you think are art show worthy that we don't finish. We save them in the corner and they collect dust because we're like, well, I could do this now in this combo that I like, or I could figure out a new combo that works way better with what I'm about to do. And I'm happy to announce that I finally gotten to a point where I can safely say I know the combo that I want to make and I know what I'm going to do, and I'm very excited about it because it happens like once a year. Keep in mind, other than my little tester kiln back there, anytime I do a kiln load, I'm doing tiny little test styles like this, or I'm experimenting with combinations much like this, or I'm trying to see what I can do or how far I can push my artwork, especially because I make a lot of my own glazes. And today we're gonna be glazing a big old chungus of a pot. This might seem super little to you, but it's very, very exciting to me because I never get to do this. Many of you probably haven't seen my actual art style. Like, I have cups and bowls and little crafty things that I do that I sell on my website at earthnationceramics.com. The store upload's coming soon, by the way, because there's maybe like 5 or 6 cups left in the entire website. So I'll reload it probably within the next 20 days, or it'll already be out by the time you see this. But many of you have never really seen my capital A artwork, like my really nice stuff. The stuff that are like large decorative vases with sculptures on top and things like. Most of you probably don't even know that I can sculpt. Flash forward to this beautiful porcelain piece. This right here is a large, brand new porcelain body that I made quite some time ago. It's kind of big. It's about as big as my head. But generally speaking, what I do is I put some type of decorative headpiece on a lot of my vases. So I'll do this, I'll color this whatever I want to color it, and then I'll put a crystal on top. And it'll kind of sit like this. And of course, there's a little bit of an etching in there. You know, I'm excited. Shut up, I'm excited about it, okay? Today, we're gonna be glazing it in Donte's Purpur. Yes, that is a glaze that I made myself. And if you made it yourself, you get to name it, so shut up, I call it what I want. Also, for those of you who are wondering, like, why is it kind of dusty and dirty and it's got these brown spots? I tried to pit fire it, but it didn't work out too well. The cool thing about pit fire is that you're supposed to bisque your piece and pit fire it. But if it doesn't go well, you don't like it, or you pit fire it a couple times, it doesn't come out the right color, you can always just glaze it regular style because it's still technically a bisque piece. Hey there, Potters. I've interrupted your favorite YouTube show in order to talk to you about something that's really important. A trim tool that you've probably never even heard of before. This trim tool, pretty important. But this trim tool, just as important. That's right, today's episode is sponsored by Manscaped. We finally got them. They were generous enough to sponsor this episode with their Lawnmower 4.0 package, something that I've been enjoying. The Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped is quiet, wireless, has a portable charger for easy travel, has a little light on it, you know, for shaving in the dark, waterproof, and my favorite part is that it has a replaceable blade that you can just buy from the company anytime one goes dull. Moment of truth here, I don't have razors for my face, I just use clippers that I plug in and use on my head of hair as well as my face, but even if I take care of them, they're technically not replaceable, or I have to buy a whole new set of clippers if I don't get the right model of clippers. A lot of them don't come with replacements, even if I take care of the blade itself. The Lawnmower 4.0 comes with a replaceable blade, which I cannot thank enough. I will not have to buy another set of clippers ever again. Almost every 2 years, I would replace my clippers. Even if I took care of them and oiled them up and brushed them out, they would still get dull over time. With Manscaped products, you can just buy razors from their website, replace it, and you're good to go, good as new. And because Manscaped is sponsoring this episode, you can get 20% off plus free shipping if you use my promo code EarthNC20 at manscaped.com at checkout. This is also a relatively large piece, so I have to glaze it in a very specific way. I'm gonna have to put something in here, lift it up, put that thing on here, spin it as I glaze it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and make this as easy as possible by glazing it in a couple separate pieces. Number one, let's do the lid by itself. Then we can pour the glaze on the inside of this and just roll it out. This is gonna be a fairly big roll, and I'm kind of sus about it because I don't think I have enough glaze to cover the entirety of the pot and a really nice thick layer on top of do the inside. For those of you who don't know, I've been making this glaze myself for quite some time, and it needs to be relatively thick. It should be around 1.4 specific gravity. Don't put it below like 1.2. It'll immediately make it turn out like that over there, and that's just like honey colored with some specks in it. But what you really want is for it to look somewhat like this. That one rollout took like half the container of glaze. It's about here now, so I'm really suspicious about the fact that it might not take the rest of the glaze. But you know what they say, when life gives you lemons, oh no. Now here's the part that I find really interesting and what led me to glaze this piece finally, which again, I'm very excited about. This might be boring to some of you, but to me, someone glazing a chungus piece, I'm very excited about it, because I found one new reaction with a glaze that I've been working on for quite some time. The long and short of it being that my glaze pretty much comes out like this, right? This is my glaze. It's very light, kind of like a hyacinth with a little bit of purple in it right here. But I started putting red iron oxide wash on the inside of these little etchings. This is purely an experimental cup. As I did so, I increased the amount of red iron oxide as we go on, so you can see it's a tiny bit, tiny bit, tiny bit, and then it got darker, and it looks really nice. You might not be able to see it because it's kind of dark, but there's some really nice floating blue-like texture on the inside of this carving, right? On top of that, if you put Randy's red directly on the top of the glaze, it ends up looking fairly nice as well. So that's the combo we're going for, but not before we put red iron oxide inside this crescent moon carving here. You know, I like that. That's not too bad. I've learned from previous experience that 2 or 3 layers of red iron oxide along with this glaze underneath it does really, really well. I put 1 layer on the flowers and it didn't look too well. I put 2 layers and it was okay, but when I really let the red iron oxide sit in there, it did really, really well. I'm not too worried about this kind of wash on the outside as opposed to this side over here, just because I think it'll give it more color anyway, but it usually goes away. You know, we're Hail Mary at that point, but let's glaze with the rest. Okay, I don't have any other way to glaze this because I don't have a container big enough to do this.
What am I gonna do?
So witness my level 100 big brain strat for glazing so I don't make a mess. This is probably making a lot of you nervous, and good. That's what you get for only buying cups from my web store. Welcome to another episode of Good Idea, Bad Idea. We glazed most of it, but I really need that bottom half right there. And I am so down bad for glaze and space right now. Like, this is about how much we have left from just glazing this one piece. We got about that much left to cover the rest of this. Also, I don't have an extra plate laying around or anything on the bottom to like hold this. And I'm so down right now. Like, we're gonna have to do one of these. There's a bunch of taboo-ness going on here that I would never suggest to an actual student or other ceramic artist. On top of that, there's probably gonna be 1,300 of you nerds. I'm like, oh, why don't you just do this instead? I don't have it. I don't have it in the studio. I already looked. Get off my. Oh, but Donte, we want to see your successions and your failures. Look, I already look in the mirror every day. I don't feel like doing it twice a day. All right. Whew, that is just enough glaze. There is no more. we barely made that by the skin of our teeth. Look, there's no more glaze left at all. But I am gonna have to flip this over and kind of rub it down just because I don't like a lot of these unsmooth textures. I wonder how much glaze I saved with this makeshift. That's great.
Nice.
That's my favorite right there. Okay, it's all clean. I've gotten it as smooth as it can be, essentially. It's got a bit of texture left, but that'll probably get more uniform in the kiln. Now we have to do the thing that I hate doing, brush on another coat of glaze. Okay, this portion of it is now done. There's a little mark right here, but there's nothing I can do about that now. But I also don't want the glaze to go over the crescent moon because I want it to really stand out. So I'm just gonna glaze the top right here. I know it's kind of common to just like have a base glaze and glaze the other thing on the top. It's like the most basic thing you can do with pots, but I'm gonna leave this here because now I have to glaze the lid. We are officially done. Chop chop.
For your patronage.
Oh my god, why would I touch it? It's so hot. I can't drop it. Oh,